In this third episode, we want to conclude this section by spending a bit more time looking at how leaders impact culture. How do we do this in such a way that there is long-lasting results? How can we bring about change that will bring health to our church so that we can be an effective witness of Jesus' love in the community? In this section, which you can find at pages 1 to 10 of the coaching guide, we're discussing the wineskins we have developed for ministry and if they are conducive or working actually against the purpose and calling of our church and ministry. So far, we have discovered that culture, or the way we do ministry, is even more powerful on behavior than new ideas or visions that others may want to impose on the members of the community. As they use their influence to create what is acceptable behaviors, leaders can have a profound impact upon the culture of a group. But how do leaders do this? Well, the first way we do this is by what we pay attention to, what we measure and what we prioritize. We also impact culture by how we react to critical incidents and crises in the ministry. We also influence culture by how we allocate and distribute resources and what ministries in the church receive those resources. It is also important to be aware of the fact that we are a model as we teach and coach others. Who we invest in is critical as a model for others in the church. What activities and actions do we reward? And what is given elevated status and exposure from the platform? Who do we recruit? Who do we select to be promoted? And who do we sideline from ministry? See, all of these are ways that leaders create acceptable culture in a group. These actions by the pastor or ministry leader communicate what their values are, and this is then acceptable behavior in the church by other leaders and members. This then creates a certain culture in the ministry, which is then reinforced by other elements of the ministry. Culture then becomes reinforced by the way the ministry is organized and structured and the systems and procedures of the ministry. Also, the rites or traditions of the ministry create the culture, as does the design of the physical building. Culture is reinforced by what is considered important in the stories we tell ourselves regarding our historical events and the previous members of the church, as well as the formal statements of the creeds and philosophies and the charters of the church. So as you can see, there are many ways that leaders can have a positive impact on the culture of a group or a church. It is worth repeating that to change culture, we have to begin with changing the underlying values. As a bit of a sidebar here, I'd like to maybe address a few comments to those who have started a church or a ministry, the founders among us. Pastors or leaders who founded ministries play a unique role in that ministry, if they realize it or not. They have a huge impact on the culture of the group, as they had typically chosen the basic mission and how that will be accomplished, as well as choosing the original team members and what style of leadership is encouraged. See, founders typically have strong assumptions based upon their values and what they see as the role of their ministry in the world. It is these assumptions at the beginning of the ministry that affect the culture of the church or ministry, sometimes for generations. This is sometimes called founder syndrome, and the dynamic that must be taken into consideration by founders so they can take intentional steps in order to help the organization or the church move beyond their tight hold on leadership. In later episodes, we'll discuss the need for transitions and how founders can take steps to ensure the ministry is reproducible and healthy for the long term.
This series is based upon our MCNet coaching and ministry guides. There are basically two parts to the series, 12 episodes that cover the 5 sections of the coaching guide and 18 episodes that cover the 8 workshops of the ministry guide. As a team, we have had the opportunity to serve in various parts of the world over the last decades using these materials to equip leaders and coach ministry teams throughout our ministry coaching network. This leadership team coaching in episodes 1 to 12 are intended for the core leadership team and cover big picture issues that affect the whole ministry. Here, issues regarding sharing vision, developing healthy culture, bringing about change, and multiplication strategies are discussed. There's a playbook at the end of each of these first 12 coaching episodes, which serves as a guide to help implement these church health and growth tools. These first 12 episodes then coincide with the ministry team workshops in episodes 13 to 30, which are designed to equip every member as they serve in the body. You can also check out our Christian Leadership Institute training program. This is a unique approach to ministerial training based on a competency-focused mentorship. The free materials for this series, as well as the coaching and ministry guides, are available from the links in the description box below. Just as many others have, we are sure you will find our other Leadership Matters podcast series helpful for you and your ministry.
Often what occurs in ministries is that members and even ministry leaders differ from each other and the leadership team regarding what they perceive as the real values of the group. See, when this is publicly articulated or even argued about, it has a negative impact, to say the least, on relationships in the ministry. See, the bottom line is if the actions of leadership do not line up with what they share publicly, as their main beliefs and values, members will be confused. Even if this difference is unintended, it tends to nullify the very message that the leadership wants to communicate. So these conflicting signals can cause the ministry or church to become double-minded and maybe even a bit neurotic, a state from which it becomes virtually impossible to move forward in fulfilling the Great Commission effectively. See, members of a group tend to want to reduce tension and the anxiety of the unknown within the group. This is why change is so difficult for churches, as change can produce anxiety and tension. Even when a crisis highlights the need for change, often the courage is lacking to do so, or the leaders may not even know the process for that change. But how the leaders in the church deal with the crises creates the norms, the values, and even the policies that will reveal the underlying issues. The way a church or ministry tries to survive a crisis reveals the deep assumptions that it has as a whole. How people are treated, what is made public, how discipline is handled, the role of leadership. All of these reveal the values and assumptions of the leadership and the group. On a positive side, activities that are rewarded further embed positive culture in a ministry. Members are well aware of what is accepted and what is discouraged in the group. For example, if leaders must be called by their titles, members will get the message that this sends. They will interpret what the values are from this. This is why leaders must ensure that what is rewarded coincides with their values, or there will be a disconnect from what leadership says are the values and what the members perceive as the real values. See, this lack of clarity causes members to be unsure and will make it more difficult for them to actively participate with the ministry. Changing what is rewarded or discouraged is one of the quickest ways to change elements of culture within a ministry. Often leaders are not even aware of what they are encouraging or discouraging and what values this is communicating to the members. See, the assessments included in this series will help the leader determine what is really going on at a deeper level in the membership and what they are thinking. It will also begin to point to the values and assumptions that underlie these very actions. See, we need to be aware of the unintended consequences of actions on one aspect or another of the ministry. This system-wide approach to organizational aspects of church is often lacking in Christian leadership. But more about that in a future episode. So, we've been talking about culture, and culture is a very important reinforcement of the values of a group. A positive culture that is in alignment with the values of the leaders and the members will help the church fulfill its mandate, while a negative culture will work against anything that leadership tries to implement. Leaders may even be the cause of negative culture without even realizing it. See, the systems and procedures in your church play a key role in developing a positive culture. These include the visible aspects of the ministry that others see on a Sunday and throughout the week. If they are in line with your values, then they can provide structure and predictability. Leaders should also be aware that while they are often trying to bring about change, as humans, members naturally gravitate towards predictability, and structure and predictability is not necessarily negative if it helps fulfill the vision. But if it works against the vision, it will become a problem. See, if we reinforce possible cultural based on healthy values and assumptions, it will reinforce and facilitate the goals and mission of the church. On the other hand, if we reinforce values that are inconsistent with the direction of the ministry, we will then weaken the ministry and its message. Much has been written about mission and strategy, but at this point, let me just make a few comments in relation to our topic of the culture of a ministry. There are different ways of defining the terms, but for our purposes here, I define mission as the timeless one that does not change very much. If it is based on congruent values, it can be a powerful tool in fulfilling the mandate of a church or a ministry. For the church, ultimately, the mission is based upon the Great Commission in Matthew 28:19 and 20. Making disciples is our ultimate non-negotiable when it comes to the mission of the church. Strategy can also be rather timeless, and for many ministries, it also becomes a non-negotiable as it relates so directly to their mission. It may be stated as planting churches or meeting certain needs in the community or discipling new believers and so on. The how becomes inseparable from the what. However, as we've seen, it is important for the mission strategy to be based on values and assumptions that the majority of the group agrees with. Without this, there will be little cohesion and usually lots of conflict. Differences at this level are not sustainable for long periods of time if the ministry is going to be effective and the team able to stay together. Now, goals, on the other hand, are designed to achieve something next week, next month, or next year. Goals actually serve to clarify and articulate the mission. They make it definable. It is actually the goals that help to determine the how or the methods to accomplish the mission. See, the methods are the specifics as to how the job will be accomplished. It is important to remember that the goals are based upon the mission and the strategy. They serve to determine which methods will be used to accomplish that mission. Methods have to do with personnel, finances, accountability systems, and so on. The methods are based upon the mission and strategy and serve to clarify it. As specific methods are chosen to achieve the stated goals, these eventually become what others see as the visible expression of the ministry. So as we wrap up this episode, let's look at the coach playbook for this section. So here are a few questions we can consider in this section. Does your leadership team share the same mission, strategies, and goals with the key influencers in the church? Is there confusion or maybe even competing visions? For each of the sections of this coaching series, we provide ministry team workshops which are designed to help anyone serving in the body apply these principles. For this section, the workshops are Leadership Foundations and Developing Others 1, which you can view in episodes 13 to 17. These provide tools to help leaders grow in their personal life and calling. Our goal is to reproduce healthy leaders who will then be able to build healthy teams and reproduce healthy ministries. Here, there is only an introductory episode to mentoring, so for the full workshop, check out as well my Mentoring Intelligence podcast series, which covers the content of Developing Others 1 and Developing Others 2. You'll also notice a link to my Finishing the Race podcast, which corresponds to the Healthy Leadership Workshop. The various resources are available in this section, including a cultural intelligence assessment, as well as an organizational cultural assessment. In addition, there's various mentoring assessments. There's also my Mentoring Through Intentional Relationships guide in various languages, which is a tool to guide a one-year mentoring relationship. Our pathways of implementation this time include both instructions regarding the mentoring assessments, as well as descriptions of the two workshops. I've also provided a guideline page which we've used to integrate the coaching sections and workshops. Now, the elliptical diagrams explain the flow of the coaching sessions and the workshops and how they fit together. The blue one illustrates how this material can be used with existing churches, and the brownish one for establishing new ministries. You can get links to all of these resources in the description box below. Okay, these first 3 episodes sum up this section of the coaching guide. We have discussed the need for leadership to consider their values and assumptions in order to create a culture of ministry based on these values. Only when they are congruent can the church achieve its goals and fulfill its calling. I hope you are now more aware of the correlation between the new wine and the wineskins and how this impacts our ability to fulfill God's purpose for us individually and for His church. So in our next episode, we're going to discuss the vision in greater detail and how to create a shared vision. If you're following along in our study in sequence, the next few episodes will cover the topic healthy leadership and mentoring, both of which are designed to change values of our leadership and all members. I hope you'll take the opportunity to use these materials and podcasts to equip every sphere of leadership within your church.